Okay, we talked about two-dimensional formal elements, shape, line, contrast. Today, it's three-dimensional formal elements. Form, mass, volume, and texture. Okay? All right, here we go. Forms, where shapes were flat or looked flat or are physically flat. Forms are three-dimensional, like we're three-dimensional forms. Everything basically in the real world is got shape, got height, width, and depth. Okay? And can look three-dimensional, like in a portrait of a real person, of a person, a realistic portrait of a painting of a person. Okay, that's a form. Their face would be, and their bodies would be a form. Okay, all right. Let's talk form first. They're just like they're geometric shapes. They're geometric forms, cubes, spheres. Like this piece here. This is David Smith's Cubine 19. Notice the geometric forms here at play that make up this sculpture. Okay, this is pretty decent sized piece. When you look at this, you think to yourself, what does this piece mean? I often see people in museums look at work and go, what does that mean? And they are struggling for answers. Guess what? There is no meaning in this work. No deep meaning. You don't see the artist's psychological issues, or is discussion about modern day politics or the global warming, and there's no theme involved. There's no religious theme. There's nothing. This is called art for art's sake. That means art for art's sake is like a early 1900 idea that came out, that artists thought art needs to have no deeper meaning other than investigation of the formal elements of the artist's choice. Okay? So Smith decided he wanted to play with the formal elements of geometric form and balance. That's what we're going to talk about later. Texture, we're going to talk about today. That's it. It doesn't have any meaning other than that. So when you go to a museum sometimes and you look at the work and you desperately can't figure out what they're about, maybe there is no meaning other than an investigation of the formal elements. I wanted to, I wanted to play with the color red, so I created a painting with all these different colors reds on it. But it doesn't have any other deeper meaning. That's what this work is. Art for art's sake. And just like there's geometric forms, and organic shapes, there's organic forms. Or like this little sculpture, this little pietà that would have gone on an altarpiece. Naturally, all of those body parts that you see, those are all organic forms. Quite irregular, nature-based, of course. Okay. There's also form in relief and in the round. I don't know why Gateways puts this here rather than in sculpture, but there is something called relief sculpture. This is a piece that would have been on top of a side of a temple or a big government building from ancient Rome, and this is called high relief, like high and low, high relief sculpture. That means that those people that you see, they're all attached to that wall surface, but they protrude way out from the back wall there, a lot of them. That's called high relief. The children in the front are climbing, they look like they're at the closest to us. They're still attached to the wall, but they're in definite high relief. They're almost broken. They've almost broken away from the back plane of that wall. Then there is also called bas relief. That's French for low, bas. And in art, you couldn't possibly make it as easy as high and low relief. No, it's high and bas relief. And this piece is actually a stela. It's a type of sculpture that's meant to be viewed from one side. only. And this is from central Mexico, Lao, and Guatemala area, Central America. And notice how shallowly it is carved into the surface. That's called bas relief. Just a little bit. And there is no hard and fast rule as what is high and bas. It's a judgment call. Okay, you can't say if it's under 1 inch, it's bas relief. Well, if it's under 1 inch, there's not a line. Never mind. If it's low carved like this, it's bas relief. It's usually used in a decorative manner, that type of carving. And this would have, when it was first installed and used and seen, would have been brightly painted, all different colors too. So it would have been quite decorative, but viewed from only one side. That's bas relief sculpture. All right, that's enough form. Volume is the next formal element, and this is, listen closely. Volume will never be in a two-dimensional artwork. You will never talk to me about volume being in a painting or a photograph. That's a different formal element. Volume is a physical thing. It is literally air, but not just any old air. It's the air enclosed or suggestively enclosed inside something. Okay, so like the volume within the four walls of a room. In art, that's volume. Okay. It's the only one you'll never talk about in a painting or a photograph or a movie or anything like that. Anything two-dimensional. All right. Okay, this is a piece that displays volume called Ghostwriter. And what form is implied in this work? This is an implied form. It's a head. You see the globe at the top of the skull and the little profile of the nose, and that you see the ear and the jawline. That's all been suggested by these little thingamabobs you're going to see in the next slide that are hanging there on that mobile. Oh, it's not really a mobile, it's stationary, but on all those little wires, there's little things that suggest that head. But it's the head, it's the air inside the head. That's the volume, okay? Here are the little doohickeys, the little thingamabobs that make up the head in Ghostwriter, okay? But it's the air enclosed or suggestively enclosed inside that head. That's volume. Where's the volume here with maman? Well, look at the size of this mother spider. That's what maman means, mother in French. Sorry, my French is not superb. But we are meant to experience her walking under her legs. So the volume is not outside of her, it's in the inside of her legs because she's enclosing us with her 8 legs. That's the volume, okay? We'll talk about some of the other formal elements in this work later. This is probably going to show up on your Unit 1 study guide too, maman. The last one for this one is called mass. Be careful with the word massive. Drop it from your vocabulary in this classroom. When someone says, oh God, he's a massive football player, that usually means big, super large. Guess what? Not in this class. Mass means heavy or looks heavy, super heavy. I don't mean fat. I don't mean just lightly. No, no, no. It has to look like super heavy, heavy. That's mass. Nothing to do with size. Mass in art conveys importance, durability, solidity, permanence. Okay? It's something we sense about when we see something that's got a lot of mass. Like this, which will be on your Unit 1 study guide 2, the colossal head of the Olmec tribe. There are about 118 of these large sculptures that are dotted on somewhat of a continuous line in Central America. And look at the mass. And that heavy mass that's part of this work is one of the reasons that this piece is still standing even after 3,500 years, and all of his brothers are too. But it conveys something about this man, or whatever this head is supposed to be a portrait of. What is this head a portrait of? How about maybe a king or a warrior or a god king? A king with, godly powers? What kind of god do you want in your life if you're an Olmec? You don't want one made out of tissue paper that's going to blow away. You want something permanent, enduring, strong. You want that type of leader or warrior or god in your life. That's why mass is important in this work. And the last one is texture. And texture is just simply either in a physical piece like a sculpture or something like that, you can actually touch it and feel it, and that conveys certain meanings about work. And sometimes it's just conveyed visually, like on the surface. Okay, like the painting of a lacy scarf or a fuzzy rabbit or something. This is called subversive texture. Subversive. Because you don't want to drink out of Oppenheim's object, do you? Because it's got fur, but it's a cup and saucer with a spoon, and it's a human reaction is to go, ooh, no, don't, hair in your mouth, no. It's meant to be funny. This is art funny, again, subversive texture, and that's it.